All right, we're live again for the second time today. You know, I really should have grabbed the clip of the
most important news of the day.
The space flight. No, we did a live, what do we call it? A flight companion, where we kind of watched together Elon Musk's crazy SpaceX first ever privately launched rocket with humans in it ever. And so far, it's been a big success. Tomorrow morning, I think they're going to dock with the International Space Station.
What time is that? I kind of want to see that.
Yeah, I want to see that too. So we'll try to figure that out.
Might be before I get up, though.
But that was the one bit of positivity today. And
well, I kind of feel like I'm in the what do they call it? The Dragon?
The capsule?
Yeah, I feel like the setup we have here now, I feel like I'm ready for takeoff.
Yeah.
What did you do? You got another 55-inch TV to put in here?
So Walmart is completely sold out, but we have a TV in our living room that we literally never use, so I just brought that down here. So we have a 65-inch TV and then a 55-inch TV mounted above it, and it's like a command station in here. We can see everything.
It's like the biggest clamshell lighting with ourselves in it.
I know. It's wild.
The other good news, though, today was after or during our flight companion, we now have fast upload speed.
Something's been fixed a little bit. I got a text from the guy,
yeah,
and he said there's a problem with the node out on our street, and he said that somebody will be working on it, but he obviously did something because our internet's better. It's not as good as it was, but it's better.
Wow. Hopefully we can make it through this show without getting everyone too drunk with buffering.
Hopefully so. Now, we were talking at dinner about like, hey, what are we going to talk about? And you said, try to find some coronavirus news. I can't find any. Everything I'm finding is, this crazy protest and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, of course I'll be able to find something. And all the coronavirus news that I found was so boring. It didn't even seem newsworthy. And I'm trying to decide if it's actually boring or if everything else in the world right now is so insane that when I watch these videos about like New York's preparation to open up, I'm like, this is boring. Nobody wants to talk about this. Who cares?
Well, I saw a story that was like Arizona has had 2 days in a row of record-breaking number of cases.
Oh, great.
But then when I look at the charts, it didn't look like, maybe they haven't been reported yet accurately or something, but they didn't look that crazy. But I saw news stories like that a lot where many states have had the highest number of new cases ever.
My parents told me they saw something about Puerto Rico's had a new spike, and I haven't read that anywhere.
Do we have Nestor in here? We have several people from Puerto Rico that are
better at speaking Spanish than me.
Well, yeah, and also up to date on it all.
Let's start. You want to watch the CNN headquarter attack that happened last night?
Why can't I get? It won't turn.
I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it.
An underscore, on the cursory level, you see the violence.
So let me just give you guys a little bit of info here. After our show last night, towards the end of the show, people were like, CNN's being attacked, it's being attacked. So I get into bed and I start playing this. I'm watching this live as it's happening. People are throwing bricks and rocks at these police. I mean, it's horrifying because you just know any second the police are going to snap and shoot at people. And then this happens. I mean, so insane.
It is happening and unfolding right in front of our cameras. They're here under the premise because a black man was killed by police. They want to hold police accountable. Their message, however, has taken a violent tone here, and we don't hear the mention of George Floyd's name at all. We just see the violence happening here in front of us.
Well, this is a bizarre scene for people who aren't used to this. You have some people are laughing, some people are videotaping.
I just threw something on fire, Chris, a firecracker. Something's on fire. Shit.
Nick, you all right?
You okay? You okay? You okay, guys? You all right? Is everyone okay?
That is horrifying.
That is so crazy.
I mean, I think I once shot one of those mortar rounds at you one 4th of July, and it's pretty scary. Like, even I wasn't prepared of what it will do when it goes off near you. And
I know.
who knows what they're throwing, but I don't know if I said this last night or if I said this afterwards, but I'm like, I'm so worried somebody's going to show up with a gun and just start mowing people down. Like,
Well, the second one person shoots one gun, the police are going to start shooting back.
yeah, I mean, that could make it even worse. I'm saying like a mass shooter, though, like Vegas style. Somebody's going to be there ready to start shooting people. The problem is once somebody starts shooting, like you said, the police, it could be the ultimate time bomb just waiting to happen, you know? So unfortunate, but meanwhile, we still have, luckily we don't have like a deadly biologic weapon, but we still have this pandemic going on. I'm wondering, like, how many people are from these protests? I mean, a few weeks ago, we were all saying how dumb people were protesting on one hand to open up. They're going to get all sick again. They're all out there saying, like, we want to, you know. On the other hand, it's like, well, maybe they should be protesting that we get back to work. There's an argument to be made there. Here, it's the same sort of story, just the opposite side of it. You know, people are protesting that, you know, our police are treating black people unfairly. But at the same time, this is way more people demonstrating than I feel like the open up crowd.
Well, yeah, and the violence level is just completely different. Robert says, really feel for you guys in particular and for everyone in the U.S. right now. This is all so crazy. My thoughts and prayers are with you all. Thank you very much, Robert. It's very kind of you. I mean, luckily, you know, we're in a little bubble down here in Puerto Rico. Like, I mean, I went to Walmart twice today. Didn't get in the first time because the lines were so long, but got in the second time, and, you know, people are waiting with the masks, and everybody's so respectful and everything. So it's nothing like the clips we are going to be showing today. 420 Tindy says, I live in Seattle, 4 blocks away from the riots, 5 p.m. curfews, police station across from my building is expecting the riots to come here. We're in lockdown. Crazy.
My sister's just texting me that Charleston has a curfew as well. I mean, we saw that Minneapolis had a curfew last night, and they didn't do anything. Cops were like, we're just going to stay out of this. Everyone marched along anyway, even after the curfew was broken. So I'm worried nobody's going to follow a curfew.
Yeah.
So a lot of the clips I have tonight are just crazy stuff that we've seen. Go to, you already did one. You can go to that one.
But now we do see those flames, so not entirely sure what building exactly those are coming from, but that is the area. I mean, it's kind of an eerie shot right now. There's a huge plume of smoke going right in front of the iconic Ferris wheel right now,
you know, and
with a decent amount of flames going right now in that building below it.
But the great concern about that, Ryan, is you take a look at the plume of smoke, that there's a great deal of fire here. Lucky Street is very tight, it's packed in, it's very close. And the Tabernacle was built in 1911. It is, you know, it's more than 100 years old. It has a lot of old wood in it. It was renovated for the Olympics in 1996. But, you know, when you see a fire in that proximity, that is such a beloved venue in this city and such a storied building that let's just hope that that fire does not get too close to that very special place.
So last night I saw the Tabernacle was trending. And if you're a music lover and you've gone to Atlanta at all, like, that's one of the coolest venues ever. I mean, I've seen so many bands there. Buck Cherry, Audio Slave, Black Crowes. Like, it's the best venue in the South, I think. And so I still have not been able to confirm if the Tabernacle was on fire or not, but that Ferris wheel is right in the parking lot of this old church.
Wow.
So I would like to know if anybody's from Atlanta, if they know any updates on that building. And then what is the second story? This is also in Atlanta?
No, this is outside of the White House, I believe. So this was a Fox News reporter getting attacked. His camera was destroyed, so the footage of him being attacked was destroyed with the camera, I believe. But here's like him retelling the story. Ken, so crazy.
Don't cover these protests. You're expecting perhaps for there to be violence, especially when there's going to be clashes with police. But this was different. We were really targeted. Our crew and I, the crowd turned on us. It was clear it was organized. And then a mob descended on us, chased us out of Lafayette Park there. There were 50 or 60 people who no longer cared about the Secret Service or yelling epithet at President Trump or talking about that. They came out after us, chased us out, took our camera, smashed our camera, took my microphone, threw it at me. We took a lot of body shots in terms of getting pushed around and shoved around, and then finally made our way about 2 blocks to where we could find a police cruiser, and then the police there called in reinforcements. It was the most scared I have been since being chased out of Tahrir Square by a group from the Muslim Brotherhood. It was clear, had we not been able to get out, and our security that you see there did a great job, and the Daily Caller was able to capture it, certainly helped. Had we not been able to get out, things could have been a lot worse.
Leland, how did it start? Did they recognize where you were or where you were from, or just explain how they caught on to that?
Exactly. There was a fellow who was sort of a tracker, if you will. He was wearing a hoodie and kept badgering us, who you work for, who you work for, who you work for, and we'd sort of always move away. And then all of a sudden, he pulled out his phone and had on Twitter a screenshot of me and started passing his phone around to a couple of other people and said he works for Fox News. And as soon as we came on the air and I started talking, big crowd came around, started chanting F Fox News, and pushed me forward. And then the crowd gathered, masked, and attacked us.
I mean, remember the days where, I don't know if there was ever a day, but it used to be if you were in the media and you had a press pass and you were, like, especially in war and stuff, there was all these rules that people just adhered to, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, if you're the one telling the news, like, we won't bother you, and in many cases, we will talk to you and open up to you.
Yeah, we want you to show what we're doing because we're so outraged.
I saw this a lot on CNN last night. Like, after the curfew was broken in Minneapolis, the female reporter was walking down the street, and she would get people on television to, you know, talk. I mean, many of them didn't make a very good point.
Of course they didn't. They don't have.
They were
any
like, there's
plan.
this black officer who killed a white girl, and he's in prison for 11 years. He needs to be freed, and these guys need to go to prison. And I'm like, shouldn't they just both be in prison if they both committed a blatant murder, you know?
Insanity.
I think this next video is Seattle, maybe?
Nordstrom.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see myself. It seems like you would be too interested in going outside. Like if I was in Charleston right now,
Oh, sure, you'd be out there.
I would want to go out there with my camera.
You went to the protest here where they
Exactly.
kicked the governor out.
Yeah, I mean, and that was.
That looked like the most peaceful, large
It
protest.
was.
I mean, didn't they say 50% of the people on the island?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but it certainly seemed like it. That was the most human beings I've ever seen in my entire life, and it was the happiest, kindest protest ever here in Puerto Rico. You know, I don't know at what level I would no longer feel safe. Like what was going on with the CNN stuff last night. I don't know if they're willing to attack a Fox News reporter and steal their camera and stuff. Why wouldn't they steal a camera of an individual photographer? You know.
Yeah.
So it's scary to think about.
They'd be like, that's Lee Morris. He runs that F-Stoppers Live channel. Get him.
Get them. Protests getting out of hand on Market Street in Charleston.
So I have a clip from Charleston.
Yeah.
But I saw it was also raining a lot today. And I would hope that the rain would prevent the protesters.
You would hope.
Maybe it would help the fires too. But I think somebody, maybe it was one of our readers here, 420, whoever's the 420 guy. I think he's in Seattle, and he's saying it's starting to rain, but they're worried that tonight's going to be the worst night. So this video seems to be protesters picking on people walking around with the Make America Great hats.
Yeah.
They're kind of asking for it if you're walking around like that on a protest like, you know, of this nature. Calhoun Street.
Do you have any idea what these guys, these MAGA guys, are there for? I mean,
No.
I would hope they're there saying, we are for Trump, but we're also on your side. We are with you. It doesn't seem like that is
Even if that
coming across.
position was possible, I don't know that you could ever articulate
Yeah,
that
in this
idea.
environment. Holy shit. Man, I mean, that's just right down from both of our homes.
Yeah, yeah.
Goodness. I didn't realize it was getting that heated in Charleston.
And what's so crazy about Charleston? I mean, you can ride around Charleston and see Trump signs and flags and stuff everywhere, bumper stickers. You know, wasn't that long ago, I mean, it probably still happens today, where someone drives down with a Confederate flag out of their truck and stuff. Like, those scenes aren't hard to find in Charleston. I mean, I'm from Alabama. I see stuff like that that's even worse when I go back home. But Charleston, it's the South, right? It seems a little strange to me that people were reacting so negatively towards people that, probably the predominant viewpoint. I know Charleston's kind of a liberal city in the South, but South Carolina votes hard for Trump, right? So it feels a little like, I could see if you're a Trump supporter in LA or something, I could see that being an issue. But to see that in Charleston just kind of feels like,
But-
especially from like some of the white people, when they're all getting up in everyone's face and stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
like, but that's kind of the norm in that city, you know?
Maybe, you know, I
We just had
I
the
would
Trump
hope.
parade with the boats a few days ago.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what that was. But I would hope that if a car drove by with a Trump bumper sticker, they would leave that alone. But those people seem to purposefully dress up almost in military
I mean,
gear.
I agree.
With MAGA hats on. I mean, it's like they were looking for a fight. I hope not. I hope that's not what they were doing. I hope they were trying to say Trump supporters are on your side too. But man, it did not seem like that. Ulysses says, stay safe and sending positive vibes. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Leonessa says, protests getting out of... Oh, you already had that one. I
Yep.
think she just said they are looting in Charleston now.
Oh my gosh.
They're looting in Charleston.
I wonder if there's...
I heard they blocked the bridge, too. They blocked I-26 and the bridge, one of the lanes.
Really?
Maybe it's the lane going on to I-26 from Mount Pleasant.
Man, we got to see more clips from Charleston.
Is Photo Mike in here? I know he had popped into one before.
Photo Mike is alive, but he was supposed to send us an email or something. He didn't, but I think he sent Touche Films a email, and I think he's doing
I do not see him, but I saw his name get... Oh, yeah, here he is. I'm using my phone as a hotspot. I finally figured out how to get chat. We definitely want your story, Photo Mike.
Yeah. Photo Mike, if you're listening, email me, lee@fstoppers.com. Let us know what happened. If you don't want to be on camera, fine, but just give us a story and we'll relay it to everybody. All right, you ready for another clip here?
Go to, this is Dallas, Texas. This is in the heart of Dallas. This is Deep Ellum.
Oh, shit! Oh,
A little bit of comedy.
Oh, shit!
A clothing store?
Guy runs right into the window.
My nigga, go get your shit, my nigga. Go get your money.
I wonder when they're going through these stores, like, are they finding their shoe size, or are they just grabbing whatever is there in the store? And you know, and I saw this clip last night, and just a lot of people were saying, this isn't even protesting. This is just stealing stuff. You know,
Yeah.
it's just looting.
Yeah.
There's
people are
nothing
not
about
upset.
this. Like, you wouldn't even know that's a Black Lives movement or Black Lives Matter movement just because of that. Nobody has an agenda. Nobody's trying to make a point. They're just trying to destroy and steal. And I guess what I just keep thinking about all of this is, you know, I don't know these stores. Those look like pretty nice stores. But in many of these communities, stores are already on the brink of saying, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay open because of the coronavirus. I'm not getting enough money from the government. If I open back up, I got to be open at 25% capacity. Maybe I'm not able to get new product from China or wherever I get it from. Everything's just totally messed up. And it feels like we've been talking for 2 months now, up until a few days ago, that when we get to about July, especially when the government unemployment subsidies stop coming in, I feel like we're running off a cliff here where unemployment is about to get crazy.
Yep.
Many stores are going to shut down, especially stores in these really expensive places.
Yeah, I mean, these people are stealing for the sport of it.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh my gosh, I really need some new sneakers. We got to get a... What happens when they really need
The
stuff?
grocery stores are next, but you know, when we burn down our grocery stores, we burn down our auto parts store, when we burn down our Targets, where are you going to get your essentials from? You know, your car goes out and you need some spark plugs. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And I
Yeah.
guess there's another narrative we can get to here in a minute, but I just keep seeing all this stuff and I'm thinking, this is nothing. I feel like this is going to get so much worse. And I also feel like, and I don't want to take away from the Black Lives movement, but I feel like some of this is caused by something else. I feel like a lot of this is a reaction to being maybe locked up in your house for 2 months and people just have this built up energy and they're ready to do something. I feel like maybe people are like my sister where maybe they're going to get unemployment eventually, but they've gone a month or two without a paycheck or much less money than what they normally make. Maybe you'd argue they're making a little bit more money than they normally make, but there's doubt and uncertainty in their lives and they don't know that they're going to have a job. And they aren't sure if they're going to get the virus and die. Maybe they've had friends and family that they've had to watch die. In many cases, you don't even get to watch them die. They just leave, and then a couple days later, you find out your dad passed away in a hospital by himself, you know? So I can only imagine all the other underlying things that are happening in people's lives, you know? And so I think the Black Lives Matter movement is definitely in response to what just happened earlier in the week. But when I see a lot of this anarchy and chaos, I think you can attribute a lot of that to something else as well. I don't think it's fair to say that all of this negativity that we're seeing is simply because one black man was killed in Minneapolis.
Yeah, it's just like the spark that was needed, but there's been a lot of anger brewing, unrest brewing. It's wild. Seattle.
Then you have videos like this that make you think maybe it is.
Hey, I need bodies! Back up! Everybody back up!
Hands up! Back up behind me. No. Behind me. I got you. Behind me. Behind me. Stop.
What happened? Ooh.
I don't know any of the backstory.
What am I doing? I'm not doing anything. Hey, that's abuse! That's abuse! Officer, what's your name?
Back up! Everybody back up!
Grab your man, right? That's abuse! He's not doing shit! Hey! This is your chance! Stop!
It's so hard to know what is excessive force and not excessive force when you see clips like this where you don't know what happened prior, but when you see a cop just beating on a guy and kneeing him into the side and stuff, you think like, I mean, that seems excessive.
It does, but I don't know. I'm going to give the cops the benefit of the doubt in this situation. I mean, they
would do that.
they were waiting in a spot, it looked like, and then they sprinted towards this guy. So I don't know what this guy was doing, if he was about to vandalize that store, if he was about to throw something. I don't know. And then I would imagine he was resisting there, but I don't know. And was that a white guy on the ground?
It looked like it, and that's the other thing that's so strange with some of
then it's fine.
These cities like Seattle and Portland. I think the next one you're going to go to is, the next one. I think I should have those reversed. But when you go to Seattle and you go to Portland, I mean, so many of those places, when you see the protesters, they're not black at all. It's like, is it the Antifa guys? It's like,
I guess. I don't know.
On the right, you have these super racist, white supremacist type people. You know, we've seen those in, what was the one? Charlottesville.
What, the tiki torches?
Well, yeah, but Charlottesville where the car runs in and kills the person.
Yeah.
Like, you have that craziness. But then on the left side, you have this Antifa stuff where a lot of these protesters look like that. It's like, it's kind of like, remember the video Peter Schiff did where he's like, I am the 1%, and he goes to Occupy Wall Street and he talks to the people. It feels like a lot of the people in that kind of movement are these Antifa people where they're just these anarchists who are trying to cause trouble anyway.
Yeah.
And we'll get a little bit more to that narrative, but when I see places like Seattle and it's like none of the people in the videos are black, it's all white people, it just feels like, again, are they hijacking the purpose of these protests and in a way taking away from the Black Lives Matter idea and taking away from, the guy who died just to cause chaos and to set their own town on fire and to, it's almost like a political thing. It feels more anti-Trump.
Well,
than
there's
it does.
a lot of wacky stuff going on with the umbrella guy that we talked about yesterday. It seemed like that was purposeful and he wasn't part of the movement. I've got a clip here where I don't know where this video was taken, but there's just in the middle of a downtown area, there's a pallet full of open bricks. Like somebody just dropped off a pallet of, should we just watch it right now? They just dropped off a pallet of open bricks.
This right here?
Yeah, they put them there.
This the setup.
They put them there on purpose,
Y'all know where
bro.
we at.
They gonna set them hoes right up on the route.
Y'all know what building this is
Come
right
on
here.
now.
I ain't even gonna say what name it is.
Hey, where do them bricks go to? Where do them
This
bricks
is
go
setup.
to? Where do them bricks
We
go
gotta
to?
do better.
Ain't no damn construction.
Gotta do better.
Ain't no damn construction around here.
I see.
Ain't no damn construction around here. You just gonna set a pallet of bricks right there. Oh, okay.
Listen, I did
That is
jury
so
duty 3
weird,
months ago.
right?
Y'all
And
don't keep no bricks
I don't want to
do better.
I don't want to jump to conclusions and say like I know for a fact that was planted and I don't know. But when you see that and then you see the umbrella guy yesterday, I saw some post on Facebook, and I have not vetted this, so do your own research, but it said something like 40 people yesterday were arrested in Minneapolis and none of them lived in Minneapolis.
We had a person, somebody probably in tonight's video emailed us or sent us a message to Facebook. Maybe it was a comment. I don't know how I saw this. There's so much stuff coming in. And she was basically saying, like, we are packing up our house. We're prepared to potentially get out of the city. We're worried it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. But the mayor has said publicly that almost everyone that's been arrested isn't even from the state.
Right.
They're all out of towners.
So, like,
and this
what
was very
the
similar.
Heck? Why would they come all to this one area and wreak havoc?
I mean, this is where you start talking about the conspiracy theories and the deep state and this other movement and these bigger ideas. And this stuff's not new. And this stuff isn't, you say conspiracy theory and people jump and think it's craziness. But like, how do you make sense of the cop who's breaking windows and spray painting, come get everything for free? How do you make sense of the brick sitting there? How do you make sense of all of these people that are not from the state that are suddenly getting arrested? And you have to wonder, are poor black people in these communities burning down their local businesses? We started with the video of potentially the Tabernacle in Atlanta is burned down. Nobody in Atlanta, nobody is going to set that building on fire. And it makes me think that like it's somebody out of town who doesn't know any better. It's like Charleston. Charleston's entirely historic. Can you imagine one person that is in a 50-mile radius of Charleston that would go downtown and set any one of those stores on fire? I can't think of anybody that would do that.
Yeah, but we don't associate ourselves with criminals that would, you know, they have nothing to lose. Like somebody who's willing to destroy someone else's property just because, like, here's my chance and I'm not going to get caught.
I don't think they're criminals, though. The video we had of Atlanta, there's a 15-minute version of it, the much longer version.
Yeah.
There's some punk white kid outside with a skateboard, and he's just smashing the window. I think he breaks his hand at some point. And you're like, this isn't, I mean, I guess he's a criminal, but it's just like you look at these people and you're thinking, is that the guy who is part of that community and part of that movement who has something to say? Or is he some outsider or somebody who's trying to make a name for himself, or he's been told to go break the windows in the CNN building? It just all feels a little too convenient.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, what I hate about most conspiracy theories is they'll come up with this elaborate plan, like, okay, the government hired thousands of people to go set the Target building on fire. And you're like, but we caught 200 of them, and not a single one of them has ratted out the government. Or, you know, there's no evidence of that whatsoever. There's no way that you could secretly pay thousands of people to go break stuff.
I think you can.
And never hear about. No one ever says, "Yeah, I got paid $500 to go out and."
Well, I mean, there's in maybe one of my videos. I think he talks about this, or maybe I cut it out. But there's this idea that people could do this as a living. You know, if you have enough resources, you have a couple $1 million, you can pay a couple hundred people thousands of dollars year in and year out to do these things.
It just seems so easy.
And
to
then you
track
bail
that.
them out, and you get them out. Some of these people, I think in the video clip that I have coming up, the guy says, I see the same protesters in Ferguson, and I saw them in Baltimore 5 years ago. Like, they're the same people.
There was what I think a ridiculous conspiracy theory about that you know, they've hired these actors to come in, and I've watched these videos, and I have not seen evidence of that. They have blurry pictures of a blonde girl, and they're like, look, it's the same blonde girl from 2 years ago. And it's like, first of all, even if it was, that means nothing. Second of all, it's not the same girl.
Yeah.
You just found 2 blonde girls, and you're making up this
I saw one like that yesterday with the 3 cops from Minneapolis, and they had a picture of those 3 cops at the Boston City bombing, like they were responders.
Exactly.
And they had another picture, and I mean, they look enough alike, but it goes back to the guy with the umbrella. I don't know how you can identify the guy with his eyes to the cop that they showed.
Right.
But you definitely don't even need the cop to be part of that story to say, wait a minute, why were those 2 guys, the pink shirt and the cop with the umbrella, going to all these places together like they were buddies? Mm-hmm. And then when he starts breaking the window, the guy with the pizza box kind of acts like, hey, man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then later on, he's walking with them again.
Yeah,
It's very, very strange.
Very strange. Derek says, Photog Mike replied above, make sure you look. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do the show. I've tried to scan while Patrick's talking. I'm unable to find it. Photog Mike, you got to send me an email. Spencer says, there were protests here in Detroit yesterday. 60 people were arrested. Majority of the people arrested were not from Detroit, but from surrounding cities. So same kind of thing. I don't get it. And if somebody is actually paying for people from surrounding cities to come in, it's going to come out. Like, I just cannot believe that until I see evidence of it. But some of the stuff, the bricks in the middle of the downtown,
it's just so hard to come out because
shady.
Wouldn't you say, well, we have to, someone's going to say who delivered those bricks? There's got to be a surveillance camera that will show that.
Yeah.
That story will just go under the rug, under the radar. No one will ever report on it.
I understand that, but you can't, like a conspiracy person will say, who's like a powerful Democrat that people hate, is like George Soros or something. I always blame him. They'll be like, George Soros paid to put the bricks there. And you're like, how do you know that? Why else would bricks be downtown? And it's just like they've made these massive leaps. I am saying I'm kind of on the fence. Like, that's very strange that there are bricks there. But I can't go as far as saying it's Democrats or it's George Soros or they put the bricks there so that Trump would lose the election. And I've heard lots of close friends tell me this stuff. Yesterday, I just talked with a friend, and he was like, the whole coronavirus thing has been made up by the Democrats to stop Trump from winning in 2020. And I'm like, but are you suggesting that every country in the world has joined forces with the Democrats to destroy their economy so that Trump won't get elected for 4 more years? And he was like, well, I guess the virus does exist, but the Democrats have exaggerated it. And I'm like, but every country on earth did the same stuff we did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, it's just not thought through at all.
I'm hearing that police cars are on fire in Charleston, and then my sister just said a SWAT team just showed up at Marion Square.
Good Lord. See if you can pull up like a live feed on your
The courthouse
phone.
in Nashville's on fire. I used to live in Nashville too. Like, it's just hard to imagine these places.
Oh my gosh. Logan says, people behave strange in mobs. When tensions are high, it's easy to incite action in people. It's not that hard to imagine 1 or 2 people planting the seed for action and then a mob taking over. Absolutely. I see that as being extremely plausible. But the idea that everyone out there in the streets is an actor or a plant, I can't get behind that. What is this white guy is the problem?
So here is, we'll do a little narrative change. In this story kind of goes like this, that black people in these communities are protesting and they are with Black Lives Matter. But a lot of these outside people, white people, are coming in and helping them with their protests. And while they appreciate it, there are people that are saying it's these white people that are burning down our buildings, and it's these white people that are doing all the looting, and or at least starting a lot of it. We can see the videos. We see that it's people of all color. But a lot of people are starting to question, like, why are there so many white people now in our movement and people from out of state and people not part of our community? And so there's just a few video clips kind of about this other narrative that might exist throughout all of this.
Okay.
The other two, like, tighten up, bro. That's not what it's about. Okay, so focus on what it is. So focus on what it is. For what? You look stupid. It sounds stupid to me. Focus on fucking George Floyd and the rest of these people that done been killed. Okay, great. Don't understand.
I didn't really hear what they're saying there, but
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all.
The narrative of the story was that he is just saying, like, why are you causing all of this trouble in this peaceful protest?
Oh,
we
really?
are trying
Okay.
to have a peaceful protest, and I don't know what that guy did, but can I be a little judgmental?
Go for it.
Are you guys going to kill me? Does it really look like that guy knows a whole lot about the Black Lives Matter movement? I mean, he looks like he's from CBGBs or something. He's like punkster with all the, or he's like the video you always like to play where the goth punks are like breakdancing.
Cyber goths?
Cyber goths. It's
Yeah.
just like, come on, man. That guy looks like he's up to no good. You're telling me he's out there
He's a hooligan.
He's up there protesting and marching for the people, I don't know. I think there's another, this video is probably a better example.
And then we feel the bulk of that. We're not allowing that no more. Okay? That's the reality of what we're dealing with right now. All right? Like I said to all my white brothers and sisters, we appreciate y'all being out here and supporting us. But this is not y'all space. This is not your space. Period. We don't need this bullshit right here. Because what our reality is, when this shit is all said and done, when we wake up, we still gonna be black in America. In the same community. Now that's not nothing against none of y'all. That's not what this is. That's not what I'm saying. But we're not gonna allow y'all to go up there and start causing chaos and confusion. It's just not gonna happen.
I mean, I wasn't really with him until I'm like, don't you want everyone to be on your side? But then he made his point very clear. No, like, you're not going to cause chaos and confusion and make us all look bad. I mean, that seems extremely reasonable. You find anything from Charleston?
I was just sent a live watch party. And I don't know why my phone will not let me turn did that time. So this is just live video of King Street. The same location we just saw the two Trump guys. But they have blocked off King Street. And I guess this is just like a live video that's just streaming. So I don't think anything too noteworthy is going on right now, but that is our own old home right there.
I hope they don't break the Walgreens windows, the most beautiful Walgreens in the world right there.
And the other thing that's so strange about all of this, I was kind of saying, you know, Charleston is South Carolina is a Republican state, and there's Trump supporters everywhere. The thing that gets me is right down the street from there, right there, at the Emmanuel Church, we had the shooting where the guy went in there and massacred 5 or 8 black people while they were praying.
Dylan Roof.
Yeah, Dylan sat there and had prayers with them and then murdered all of them. One of the worst white-on-black crimes in American history. And what happened in Charleston? We were very peaceful about it.
Yeah.
Everybody came together. We all banded together. We felt the pain, and we came together as a community. So I find it a little strange, unless it goes back to what I was saying earlier with the coronavirus and the unemployment and all these other things that are like pending. It just feels strange that if Charleston were to get really violent, that this is a very different extreme from where we were just, I mean, when was that? 5 years ago? It wasn't that long ago. And in all cases, I think that was a much worse crime. I mean, you have one like white supremacist kid go into a church and murder a bunch of people from the community. I mean, I remember that night we were all thinking like, who in the world? All these people just got shot. We had a big shooting in Charleston. The guy is on the run. There's helicopters everywhere looking for him. I mean, it felt kind of like what it must have felt like with the Boston bomber, when those two guys disappeared in the neighborhood and you were like, where is he? But I don't know. I just try to think of what the Charleston community would do. And I know what we would do because we did it 5 years ago. And it was a very positive moment. We had all the press came down. I mean, a lot of you in America probably remember that moment as well. So I don't know. I'm hoping that everything stays peaceful, but maybe a lot's changed in 5 years, and I don't know.
Easy Lag says, during the protest in France earlier this year, we have footage of cops vandalizing stores, then going back behind the barricades, putting police armbands. I mean, it does make sense. You want to be able to have a reason to stop protests. The quickest way to do it is to say this is getting dangerous and people are starting to, get violent or break things or steal. So we have to take drastic measures. Photog Mike is in the house. He says protests don't work if convenient, if done on Tuesday at... Damn it, Photo Mike, this doesn't make any sense.
He's on a lot of drugs,
On
probably.
it does not disrupt anything and doors not work. This is me as a white guy speaking. I cannot read that.
You're making us white guys look bad, Photo Mike. Get it together. I'm glad to hear you're okay, though.
Yeah. Glad to have you back in the chat. All right, you ready to watch this one?
Where are we at? Okay.
Join us here on this Saturday after that horrific display of the rioting, the looting, the uprising yesterday. And let me get your thoughts on where you think things are today. Do you think that tonight...
Who is this guy?
He's, I don't know, spokesperson for Fox News, reporter.
Oh, he is.
Tonight is also going to be another one of those very distressing ones like we saw last night.
Yeah, Dana, and thank you so much for your excellent reporting on this matter. You've been really at the forefront of this. As you know, as we've been co-hosting The Five together this week, I told you that just by my experience of reporting on protests and being in the thick of Baltimore, Ferguson, that the bad actors were people that weren't from the area. This wasn't something that I just made up. It's just a matter of experience and being there on the ground. And as you know, the mayor and the governor, as the records are starting to come out, they told us that all the people that they arrested were people from out of state. That's what's going on right now. You have people that have their own agenda. that are anarchists, that are part of Antifa, that are professional paid protesters. I know this because as I would go to city, I would see some of the same faces. These people, jobs are to agitate and to stir up hatred. There are a lot of peaceful protesters that are on the ground. And so what needs to happen is that the governor really needs to establish control. There has to be a clear separation between the people that are exercising constitutional protected protest and the anarchists. The people that are there on the ground that are from the community, they don't want to set up the businesses that they go to on a daily basis on fire. It's the people that have absolutely no connection to the community that are seeking to set those places on fire. And so what the governor needs to do, I mean, this is a fourth chance. I mean, this happened Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is Saturday night. And it seems to be that there is no control, there is no coordination that is taking place, and that's problematic.
Somebody says you can see how much hate Donald Trump has created over the last 4 years. I do feel like there's been more hate in the last 10 years, and I think it started before Donald Trump. I mean, do you remember the sniper that was in Dallas that was picking off police officers? That was a big news story. I just talked about Dylan Roof killing all the people in Charleston. That was 5 or 6 years ago before Donald Trump. Like, it feels like there has been this underlying race thing that's been building for much longer than the 3 years. I mean, we've almost been here 2 years now, it feels like, in Puerto Rico. So, I mean, maybe we're a little, like the shooting, what was the guy who got shot in Charleston? He was running with the taser.
Yeah,
maybe that was at the beginning of Donald Trump's presidency, but it wasn't that, you know, it was like 3 or 4 years ago. That was a while back. So I don't know if it's totally a Donald Trump thing. I have to say, I don't think Donald Trump is helping the situation.
I don't think he's helping.
But I think this is, and to even say it started in the last 10 years is kind of my ignorance too. Like, this has been a thread that's run through America for a very, very, very long time. You know, maybe we were distracted with all the Middle Eastern hate, with all the terrorism and everything. It's like we had our eyes set on a different target for a while. And, you know, maybe if you're black, you didn't even feel that, you know. It's always been about you, and it's always been something that you live with day to day. But I think, you know, maybe in the 2000s, we had a distraction for a while, you know. But it's also difficult to deal with because it's like one bad police officer out of 10, you know, and suddenly, like, you watch so many of these videos.
Hopefully it's better odds than that.
Well, I think it's better than one.
10% bad
No. I didn't mean 10. I meant to say 100.
Okay.
1 out of 100, but it should be even lower than that, you would think. But when you see all of these videos of people getting up into every cop's face, you know, I'm just like, how unfair is that for so many of the police officers that are good cops? You know, it's like...
Oh, it'd be so infuriating. I have a family member who's a cop, and I was recently speaking with him at a family, I guess it was a funeral family reunion thing, and he was like, excuse my language, but he was like, you know what it's like, Lee? You wake up in the morning, fuck you. Like, the second you wake up, the world hates you. And many of the people that you deal with on a daily basis are capable and willing to kill you. But they may only do it if they think they can get away with it. And so he was like, I have been shot at. I have had to kill people. He was telling me one thing. He was like, everyone in our precinct has to learn to speak Spanish because we realized when we watched back police cam footage of shootings and stuff at traffic stops, the Mexican people who got pulled over would be talking to the people in their car like, get your guns ready, we're about to kill these cops, but the cops couldn't understand what they were saying, you know, and so they just stood there and then got shot. But the stories that he was telling me are just so horrific.
Yeah.
That, you know, you just ask yourself, like, why would you even want to do this job? But he's like, this is just all I've ever done. You know, what, like, I don't have anything else that I can do, and I do want to help my community, and I do feel like I can make a difference. but there's a 50% chance that when I pull someone over, they're going to start screaming at me, and I don't know if they're going to get violent or pull a gun or pull a knife or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's difficult for cops as well.
And I don't want any of this conversation to diminish what the reality of being African American is like in our country, you know. But I keep thinking, like, cops are probably dealing with people like the crazy woman that yelled at the bird watcher, you know. Started doing all the racial stuff with them. I'm going to call the cops, and I'm being attacked by a black man, all that. I mean, imagine cops deal with something on a similar level where you pull over some crazy woman and she realizes she's not getting out of it and she's getting a ticket. Every day they're probably yelled at. Do you know who I am? You know who my husband is? You're going to pay for that. I mean, you see videos like this all the time on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a very difficult job. And somebody here says it's not just about bad cops. It's about a system that protects the bad cops when they're exposed. And I think that is a very valid point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And it's difficult because when somebody does something wrong and then the police and the courts get involved, there's a disconnect between the courts and the police and that wrongdoing. But when you are in that system, and it is a guy you've worked with, maybe he was your partner 5 years ago and you've watched him work his way up and now suddenly he's the bad guy, and you know his family, and you know his daughters, and his kids, and his wife, and
maybe like if you got to talk to that guy and you knew him and he was so close with you and he was like, I never meant to kill him. I thought he could breathe fine, you know? Like, that's not an excuse.
I'm making the other argument though, like you knew like that guy had a few bolts loose, and I understand, I can see it. But suddenly he's got relationships with everyone inside that,
absolutely,
you know, that police thing. I can see where it is unfair and it is unfortunate, and they aren't held accountable in many cases. But again, I think it's 1 out of 100, 1 out of 1,000. You know, when you see all these police in New York City, you know, and even when I see the women ones, I'm like, there's no way they are all those people that are putting the knee on the guy's neck, you know? And there's no good answer to this. You know, many people will probably be like, I can't believe Patrick. I think everything we're saying is fair on different levels, you know? And, you know, I'm not trying to take away from what's happening right now from the racial standpoint, but it's just a lose-lose situation. I don't know how anyone can, like, what's the solution to all of this? You're going to have, like, less police, no police? Can't have that.
The truth is, I mean, you got to have more police and body cams.
In some ways, the body cams are, it's this vicious cycle where are more of these acts happening now more than ever, or we just seeing more of them because of the body cams and because everyone has a cell phone?
Absolutely.
I mean, I have to imagine in the 60s and 70s when a lot of the segregation was coming to an end.
I think it was worse.
It had to have been worse.
I think everything's getting better with society, but we can see it, and then we see it on replay, and it's all over social media, and it's the only thing on CNN, and so it sticks in your mind. I mean, if there wasn't a video clip of that, even if there was people who said, I saw what this cop did, they would have gotten out of it somehow, and that's the most disturbing part.
Oh my God. Our Apple store.
Oh shit! Did they rob the Apple store or just break the glass?
It looks like the glass is broken. I mean, there's still stuff on the tables.
Crazy. Photog Mike's giving it a second go. He said, what I was trying to say, protests that are convenient that take place noon on Tuesday don't carry same weight as protest on a Friday at 6 p.m. when everyone leaving work going out. Photog Mike, these are not complete sentences with words, necessary words. I think I understand. I proofread next time. Sam says, there's roughly 175,000 police to civilian contacts daily, 63 million yearly. The bad cops are far smaller percentage. Absolutely, absolutely. Let's see what we got video-wise. Portland. Do you know what this is? Is this a police department, or are they just attacking a local
I don't know
business?
what this is, but this was like...
It doesn't look like a police department.
This was a very predominant building in Portland. I don't know.
Okay.
It makes me wonder though when I see all this. I'm like, we've talked about this years ago, but like, is the photojournalist kind of dead now? Like all of the clips and all of the video that people want now is shot from everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like
you
even
can
us
get
going
so
through,
much better footage when you have millions of people outside with video cameras.
Yeah.
I don't care if it, was shot in I was going to say, I don't care if it's shot in 4K. The phones can shoot in 4K.
Yeah.
We have night mode now. In
Yeah.
a way, it's better than the professional cameras we had just a few years ago.
I have seen a lot of still images coming out of this, though, and there are some pretty talented photographers out there. When you see the guy, like, raising the fist in the flames and stuff.
Yeah, I've seen that, too.
And, a lot of that's staged. You're like, hey, man, like, let me get a picture of you here, and, that's been done for decades, over a century. But I think the photography side is still better with the professionals. But when you come down to the video and the news stories and the narrative, man, everybody's capable of telling that story now.
Logan says, he's trying to explain photog Mike, he is saying that protests are not effective when they occur on a Tuesday at noon, but are much more effective on Friday night when people are trying to go out. Okay, I don't, were we talking about that? That's maybe part of my confusion. I'm not sure what the point of that statement is, but sure. I agree.
Protests are also much more effective when they go day after day after day.
Absolutely.
Sam Smith says there's roughly 175,000 police.
That one.
Oh, you already read it?
Patrick, I am on top of this.
All right, well, there's so many things going on here. I'm in battle
and I'm running them all.
This is a crazy shot. This dude just straight up runs up and grabs this guy's gun. And then the guy's like, put his hands, it just makes you feel like maybe the wrong people in America do have the guns. And then he disarms it. Like a
What
good
the
citizen.
hell? I gotta watch that again.
This protester has a gun. This other guy just runs up and just grabs it.
Oh, dude, he's like holding a gun on the guy. All right, there's got to be more to this story. I mean,
maybe this is like a movie they're filming, and there's like a crew and a set.
I don't know what was going on there.
That was such a crazy clip. I was like, I have to include
Well,
that.
we're ready for the final clip here.
Well, we still had one that you didn't get to. You didn't do 5, right?
Number 5.
That one.
Oh, okay.
This is, I think, the biggest fear going forward.
And there is a struggle for the barricades. What are you seeing?
Don, it's a very violent struggle for the barricade, and it's gone back and forth between both sides a couple of times. It seems like the protesters have gotten the upper hand a couple of times. They've been able to rip away parts of the barricade and kind of haul them away and just toss them. And then the police will go and bring another part of it and try to reinforce. And when they do that, the protesters confront them. They throw things at them, and the police try to hold their ground. It has been a very intense push and pull for, I'd say, at least an hour.
Man,
like
what is the point?
I around 11 o'clock last night was like, I'm just taking a break and playing guitar for an hour, and then I come out and I see all of that, and I'm thinking, man, can they rush the White House? Like, is that possible?
I mean, I think people would just get mowed down.
Yeah, they have snipers on the roof.
I'm sure they have more than that as well.
But all it takes is for a few people to say, like, let's do it. I have nothing to lose. Let's do it. Could you imagine if people breach that fence and a few people get shot? I think this thing is so close to boiling over.
I know. I can't believe we haven't had another death yet. It just seems like it's only a
like
matter of time.
an officer killing somebody or something?
Not egregiously, but because, somebody throws a rock or something and then he pulls the gun and then people start attacking, so he starts shooting to save his life and people are going to die.
I was watching that video of CNN last night and I was just thinking, they're all there they're inside the CNN building and they have people throwing those fireworks at them. And I mean, those are like mortar rounds. Like those are the ones that you see on the 4th of July up in the air, you know? And I'm just in the rocks, and you see people getting hit and stuff. And I'm thinking, how much patience do you have to have as a police officer to sit there and just hold your ground?
I know.
And do nothing. I mean, I have a short fuse. Like, I know if somebody were like to punch me or push me or something, it's very easy for me just to want to like get in there, you know?
Yeah.
And I would hope that that's the reason why I'm not a police officer. But when you see like explosives going off, you know, and then you see like these smoke grenades going off, and I don't know if it's the police setting those or if other people, the protesters, are setting them off, and suddenly you can't see the protesters. They're in a cloud of smoke, and if that smoke's not tear gas where they're hurting, and it's just smoke that's concealing where they are, I mean, it's scary stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, and most of these police officers have probably never dealt with anything like this.
Derek says, hardware in Apple Store bricks itself if removed from the store without proper processing. Thieves have learned not to bother. Yeah, I don't think looters have done their research on Apple bricking their products.
Is that the products that are on the tables, or if you
so.
could go in the back and steal a brand new MacBook?
I'm sure the ones in the back probably aren't like that, but I could be wrong. I would imagine just the ones on the tables are the ones that they've done.
What they need to do is they need to come up with a way to like have stuff for people to steal that then can track them.
I know.
And then they would get a better idea of, like, could you imagine if they started finding that like the same people went to multiple cities and have the same collection of iPads?
Well, you know what's so weird about people stealing, especially iPhones? I've seen so many videos of people, their phones get stolen, you know, they leave it in a cab or whatever, and then their phone turns back on a week or two later, and it's in like some country in the middle of nowhere in Africa, or it's in the middle of South America, or in some small town in Mexico, and the new owners of the phone are taking pictures of themselves, and you can see it, you know, it's syncing up to your iCloud or whatever. So I don't know what the scheme is, but they're not always staying in America. They're getting shipped out.
Somebody says you can't steal, they don't brick the dongles, because the dongles are already halfway bricked when you buy them.
It's true.
Nestor says, are we headed for a revolution? Yes, they can take down the White House. That's a revolution. I don't know that they can. I mean,
No,
you want to
they
believe
can't.
that they could, anyone, but if they could take the White House, they are taking down the top government, one of the top 3 governments in the world. I don't know that's possible.
Yeah.
I think people would get mowed down, and I have to believe,
There's panic rooms and stuff. Like, everybody would just go into some vault in the White House and go out of some tunnel or something and get in a tank. Nobody's taking out.
I mean, I would
people in the
believe
White
that the
House.
White House has some kind of, I mean, the Secret Service is almost like a military, but there's probably a lot more firepower there than anyone expects. But
Absolutely. Logan says, I need a link for that AR-15 disarm video. Do you know where you found that?
I don't. You probably type assault gun, assault weapon, steals gun.
Protest or something.
I think I found it on Twitter.
We got one more clip. You were telling me about this one. I'm excited to see this one.
This is scary too. People hot-wired a Bobcat, and then just started driving it around recklessly.
Dude, this is straight up a video game. And where was this?
I don't know. Like, one of them was in Oakland, but I think another one, I couldn't tell if it was the same Bobcat, but I thought I read LA.
Let's play it one more time. I mean, this is straight up Grand Theft Auto. With fireworks going off
Yeah,
around
he got the
it
firepower added, and it's just like...
I have played this level.
Did you crash it through a building?
Yeah, I did everything. I did everything you can imagine. So insane. I mean, the only thing that could have made all this crazier is if the SpaceX launch was a failure today. I'm so glad.
I was like, if that thing blows up, it's like time to cancel 2020. We're out.
I would be so depressed right now if that malfunctioned, just because I feel like I have put my hope in Elon Musk for the future of this world. That guy is doing the work of like 1 million individual humans all by himself, and I do not want him discouraged for any reason. So I'm so glad that that is going well.
Protesters have made it to Beverly Hills and Rodeo Drive.
Great.
Yeah, people are looting all of the high-end stores there.
Do you want to try to pull up any of these videos? I don't know if you can go on Twitter and like find video clips that we could show, but then we gotta end this episode. We've been going for an hour and 12 minutes.
I did take a video of our setup if people want to, they wanted to see it. Yeah, see, it's like it won't let me always flip these around, but this is...
Well, you probably made a vertical video. Like you filmed it wrong.
I didn't film anything. I'm just playing what I'm finding on the internet.
Oh, okay.
So here's Rodeo
that
Drive.
doesn't work. I can cut audio on here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not proofing any of these, so I have no idea what is being said and done.
From a conversation we had earlier.
Man, you remember that was it Prada outfit that I was trying to get you to
on Rodeo Drive?
Yeah.
They look like pajamas or something.
I know, it looks so good. And I was
my
like, you gotta
gosh.
buy that, Patrick.
What was it? It was like $5,000 for the top and like $7,000 for the bottom, or
it looked so,
vice versa.
It was like a clown's outfit. That I don't understand who wears that stuff. I thought those fancy stores had like gowns and stuff, but when you look at them now, I mean, we have one mall here in Puerto Rico that's got really fancy stores, and it's literally like clown outfits, neon colors and feathers, prints and stuff, and it's just insanity. It doesn't look like anything. I've seen people on the red carpet, celebrities.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone dressed like that.
It's like if Eddie Murphy from Coming to America was still in Zamunda, he would like wake up and get into this outfit, and you're like, why is that for sale in LA or in San Juan?
I don't know what type of person's buying that stuff, but the looters have taken it now.
Here's I saw this video and I thought this was a little more positive. I was like, I can get behind this kind of protesting. Kind of looks like Coming to America. Yeah, his outfit at least. I was like, I mean, I don't know if that's gonna really convey how upset you are with, police brutality, but I was like, this is a better vibe than all of the other videos we've played thus far. That's LA.
Jan says the Periscope app is interesting to use for watching the different protests live. What is Periscope? Periscope's like the live streaming social media platform?
Yeah.
I think I went on that one time.
Man, Periscope's pretty crazy. Like, you could go watch like concerts, sat and watched full concerts. I can't tell you how many Guns N' Roses shows I've watched from Periscope.
Does it look or sound good?
It doesn't sound great, but like if you want to see like the first show of a tour and you're like, I'm just curious to see what the set's like, and like it's really good for that. I'm sure people go into movie theaters and stream movies. They do UFC events, like any kind of sporting event's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna get on social media and try to watch some more stuff, but I was gonna show people our setup here. Maybe this is the last thing.
1 second, let me cut the audio off here.
So here's what we are looking at as we do this broadcast. So the bottom is all the media that you guys see, and then the top is all of the different medias that we get to check out. So
we're getting that big boy setup done here. And I'm happy that the television that literally hasn't been turned on in 4 months is being used now.
Well, and we've lost our fill light, so there's not as much light down in this area, but maybe now we have a blue monitor fill.
Yeah, I don't know if that's good or bad.
I assume if you go to a white website on your computer, I'm sure it's just like whoosh.
Yeah, this one.
Maybe it
a little bit.
Yeah, it fills in a little bit.
All right. Anything else you have to say, Pat? Or
Go
should
back
we
and just
call
make
it?
sure, did we get all the videos? Because they're numbered really weird. You got the pallet of bricks.
I think we got them all.
It's just such a bad vibe, you know? Because I keep thinking, all of our minds have been, like, deterred, right? Like, we're all focused on riots now.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this coronavirus is still out there.
Not to those people.
It's probably
they don't
there.
care.
It's probably there as strong as ever. Like I said, many states are reporting the worst couple of days that they've had. And I just feel like my worry is that this is the beginning of a very long year of this. I think my gut is telling me this is more of a reaction to Donald Trump and some of the crazy stuff he said. Again, not trying to take away from the Black Lives Matters movement. You know, I don't want to take away from that. I understand. But I feel like as we get closer to our election, I feel like this is going to fire up even more and even more and even more. I mean, why are they outside the White House protesting? Is that a Black Lives Matter thing? Or is it we freaking hate the president and we're all going to march and demonstrate? Like, I just think this is going to get worse. And as more people die from coronavirus and we start getting to 150,000 deaths, maybe 200,000 deaths, the jobs aren't coming back. People are unemployed. States' unemployment's running out. We're spending trillions of dollars more bailing out. Like, when's the next bailout? That's got to be coming soon. Everybody's running out of money. I just think this is going to get worse. This is just the beginning of all of this. I'd like to believe that we'll have a riot for a week. Weather's going to get nice. People are going to chill out. Jobs are going to come back. Virus is gone. I don't think that's the reality, though.
Why are you trying to bum me out?
I'm just trying to get back to the reality that we really are living in. And all of our friends in the South, they just act like, oh, we go to Walmart, no one's wearing masks. Virus doesn't exist, it's a hoax. Like, there's all this crazy stuff that a lot of people in America believe. And then you put this on top of it? I don't know. Like, every day I start to feel a little bit better about being here in Puerto Rico. Oh, I did have one coronavirus thing I wanted to share. You have to go to the description.
The description?
Yeah. And this is something I mentioned like week 1 of all of this, and I'm so excited that it's starting to get talked about a little bit more. This was on, there is a subreddit called, it's reddit.com/r/COVID-19. And this subreddit is like scientific stuff about coronavirus. If you go to the other subreddits about coronavirus, it's just like anything and everything political. There's a
first one here?
It's this first one. There is a study that has come out. It's not a great study. It's like maybe it's like just a few people, a few kids. But basically they said that many people are dying from COVID because of the your immune system just getting so overwhelmed in your lungs that you die because of the pneumonia. And this, if you scroll down through the abstract, basically they have some children coming in with Crohn's disease. And what they do to treat Crohn's disease in many cases is they give them Humira or Remicade. I'm on Humira, which is a TNF blocker. That's a tumor necrosis factor. TNF is one of the main inflammatory markers involved in coronavirus. It's not unique to coronavirus, but it's one of the players. And so when they gave these children the drug for their Crohn's disease, they had COVID. They came into the hospital with coronavirus, and their TNS levels were way higher than they normally would be even for a Crohn's patient. They gave them, in this case, I think they gave them Remicade. They went immediately into remission. Not immediately into remission, but their levels, everything with their Crohn's disease started to get better. They had an abscess or something, which is common. That started to take care of itself, and they instantly, like in 24 hours, started getting much better from the coronavirus. So I mentioned this like 2 months ago, and I was like, there could be a chance, this is being talked about in the Crohn's disease forums, that being on an immune suppressive drug like Humira or Remicade might actually be better for people like me who come down with coronavirus, because we are suppressing TNF, which is a major part of the pathway that is killing people with coronavirus.
So you want to come to my jiu-jitsu class?
I don't want to do that, but I'm just saying that, like, maybe this crazy drug that I'm on that's got all these warnings all over it might actually put me in a better place for coronavirus. And there's now finally, like, a few scientists talking about this from children who had Crohn's disease that were taking this
Well, here's the question.
TNF suppressor.
Could I have had coronavirus in January? Katie got it, but she's a girl and she's tough, so it didn't do much to her. You got it,
And never knew?
but your drug saved you.
Potentially. I mean, anything's possible. You did take a test right here and failed it.
I like to believe that test was faulty.
Yeah, I don't know. But, you know, we're seeing around the world in London, and then where was the other one that we were talking about? Sweden? That the natural population is like 10% have it. We're not at a very high percentage for where we think you would be, you know?
Yeah.
If everybody got it back at Christmas. I want to look into, too, where's the timeline moved with the first cases? You remember like a month ago, France started saying that we think we had cases in France back in November, which started to blow the whole timeline up a little bit.
I've seen another story about that too.
Yeah.
So that's very strange.
Interesting to see. But any news with the China stuff? You had a video of Trump just talking.
Not that I saw, but I think everything's being overshadowed by people hot wiring caterpillars and driving down the sidewalk.
Well, as long as all of these protests are going on, are we done with the show? Is coronavirus officially over? Because I don't want to go down this road. I don't want to be a news reporter. I don't want to talk about politics and about state of affairs in America. Like, I want to get back to working. I actually spent several hours today trying to work on a photo project. It's kind of a failure. But I'm ready to get back. Like, I have better things to do than look at these articles all day and come up with some hour-and-a-half show where we just bicker about the little bit that we know. So are we done with coronavirus? Is it over with? And it's now protests and somebody else can take the wheel?
I don't know. It certainly doesn't feel done when...
I mean, we're not at a curfew.
Yeah, like Puerto Rico is still in the middle of this, so I'm going to continue for a little bit. But if I have to do it alone, then I have to do it alone. But I don't really think you have anything else to do better. So I think you're going to keep doing this too. No, but I am
starting, after doing, we're probably at 70 episodes now in a row. I'm starting to feel like there is a lot more that we could be productive with. But we still can't go out after like 7.
Yeah.
We can't go shoot landscapes. We can't shoot sunrises and sunsets. Not that I shoot sunrises anyway, but like I want to start working with people. It's just still not really open here in Puerto Rico, but I'm getting a little tired of this.
People are saying, no, we have to continue. It's funny. We don't get many views, but the 5,000 viewers that we get every day really like this show.
Even the people that hate our positions somehow like our show.
I know. All right, let's get out of here. What do you think?
What do you think tomorrow we're going to talk about coronavirus?
I'm going to try. All right, guys.
See you guys.
Subscribe. It's a new channel. See you tomorrow.